Hola, you guys! Hello, Eurovision fans! Benidorm Fest 2022 has just taken place, and oh my goodness, we are absolutely lit. That was fire, that was fuego, and we're here to talk about it. Joining me today are two lovely gents, star of stage and screen, and Ted Lasso. It is Tom Hendrick.
Hello, gentlemen.
And of course, Oliver up north. Hello.
Hello, star of nothing, just me. Hi.
Star of life,
Hey,
babe.
you are a star. You're my star.
There you go. Thank you so much. Now, you guys, Chanel has won with SloMo. Let me kick this off by saying she was my winner the moment we saw her in semifinal one. This was the overall package. This was body, this was booty, this was song, this was memory, because once you hear it, you can't stop hearing it. This is Eurovision ready. And my big takeaway from all of this is good for Spain at Eurovision because they will get a decent result with this, whereas with some of the other entries, it was less certain. And so this will justify the expense of Benidorm Fest, and our girl will head to Torino and set Italy on fire. Tom.
I think it's the best thing to happen for Benidorm Fest because I think it's a guaranteed top 10. It's going to be a guaranteed best finish since, I think, Beth in 2003. And we all know how, Beth was in the top 10 for the ESC 250. I think we're talking this kind of level here. It was the best thing. I think Tanxugueiras and Rigoberta, I think it's still a little bit too niche for Eurovision. And I think we still would have got a similar result of previous years. But Chanel, oh my word, to be honest, into the studio cut, I think I was the same as you gentlemen. It was great, but it didn't wow me. What wowed me was Chanel, was the presence, was the look, was the dancing. She turned everything upside down for me, and she went fifth or somewhere to absolutely top of the shop for me, and she was not to be moved at all. She was incredible, absolutely incredible, and the perfect winner for Spain for going into Turin.
I feel the passion. Now, Oliver, forgive me. Lil Catherine says, Oliver, you are a star. And I agree.
Thank you.
And I did not mean to slight you, honey. I had just been watching Ted Lasso earlier today, though, which is why this was on the mind. In any case, Oliver, what is your take on SloMo?
It's fine. We have a celebrity in our midst. I know. This is going to be a good result for Spain. I think I'm apprehensive to get super excited about it because we are still so early in the season and we have so many more entries in Eurovision 22 to hear. But this is probably the best one so far, in my opinion. Like you, Tom, I didn't very much vibe with the studio cut. It's not the type of music that I would traditionally respond to. And even live, I think that, the chorus is a little bit repetitive. I'm not super vibing with that. William, I can see your face, I know. But, and this is the seller, she can move. This package is incredible. I think that it's so impressive when an artist comes on the stage and they can move like that. They've got really complicated choreography, like right from the first second, and they can maintain a really solid vocal throughout. I mean, not to open a sore wound, but think about like Roxanne at Eurovision 2021. And she had some really complex choreography. And because of that, I think her vocals, her breath kind of struggled a little bit. This, we're not seeing that at all. Like, she is ready to go on Eurovision stage. She is picking up those jury results, those jury votes even, because of that talent. And I think that is undeniable. Also, shout out to Carmen Farala, winner of Drag Race España, who designed and I think sewed part of this dress. So iconic all around.
Now, we're getting a lot of comments from Spanish fans, and I just want to read a few and then address them. The first is from Luis Javier Fernandez. He says, I am Spanish and I feel betrayed. The jury does not represent us. 25% of televote is a sham. It's a shame, sorry. Cesar Cruz says, Chanel equals Manel Navarro, last place. Collins says, I think Tanxugueiras was robbed. Amanda Britton says she was just a Fuego 2.0, and I feel like Spain won't get far with her. Now, I just want to say, specifically to Spanish fans, I think when you have so many good choices, it's inevitable that some people feel hurt. And this is actually a good sign, because it means there were multiple songs to love, that your selection was so strong that different artists from different genres could compete on the same field and people could identify with different ones. I just think that's a great thing. We see this every year, whether it's Melodifestivalen or some of the other stronger selections around Europe. San Remo, we see that similar thing as well sometimes, because there's so many songs to love. So what I'm trying to say is, I hope the pain passes, and I think the pain will pass, because all spring, your girl Chanel is going to be burning a trail through Europe, getting hype, getting people interested in Spanish music, in Benidorm Fest, in Eurovision Spain. Yes, I understand people will always disagree with the voting breakdown. Like, some people think it should be 100% televote, some people think it should be 50-50, etc., etc. All I know is this song could do well at Eurovision. It was my number 2 in studio. It was my number 1 live. She performs Bella Santiago from the Philippines, Romania, meets, I don't know, Rosalia, meets Beyonce. There is something about this. We've seen dance numbers at Eurovision. Yeah, we've seen it. This has fire. This has an authenticity. I love Cyprus dance numbers. No shade to Cyprus. But to see a Spanish dance number to me, it's like, whoa. There's just something in the air.
It's about time, right?
Yeah, girl, caliente. Give me all that capsicum. I'm going to stop talking. Let's broaden this out, actually. Tanxugueiras, Rigoberta. For me, let's just address the big controversy. There are 2 big controversies, so let's get your opinion. Chanel v. Rigoberta, Chanel v. Tanxugueiras. Let's kick it off with Rigoberta. Love the message. Love it. Beautiful. However, I think that song means more to Spanish voters than it does to international voters. And at Eurovision, international voters vote. So in terms of what's best for a result at Eurovision, it's Chanel. However, I understand this song has meaning and there's a place for that. In any case, Tom.
Absolutely. It's got a very important meaning, which obviously we've got to point out and we have to respect. And it was great. I think it elevated as well from the semi-final to the final. I think it looked crisper. The moves looked sharper. So I think all in all, the package was better also in the in the final. I have to repeat what you said, William. It just won't resonate with Europe. I can't see it resonate with Europe. You have only a finite time to capture people's attention, and then they might see the big breast on the screen and go, "That's a joke act," and move on. And that's the problem. I mean, Rigoberta is a huge star in Spain, and obviously that's great. And I hope more stars from Spain go to Benidorm 2023, 24, and onwards. And I hope it won't stop them from coming to Eurovision or trying out. But I just don't think it would have got the result that Spain, what they wanted from such a wonderful contest as Benidorm. They put so much time and effort into a wonderful contest. I don't think they would have got the result with that song. And I'm so sorry for the Spanish fans, but I can't see it.
Oliver, keep us abreast. What do you think of the boob? What do you think of the stage show and Rigoberta's song?
I do have to agree. I think this is a little bit niche. First hearing it, I was expecting something completely wacky right from the get-go, but it does kind of take a minute to get there and it makes you think. But it is that moment where if you don't speak Spanish, which most of Europe doesn't, you aren't necessarily going to get the message until the visual of the boob, of the breasts, comes onto the stage. You're not going to get it until then. And I understand that there is a humor to this. There has to be a humor to get these kind of messages across, and I really appreciate that. But it gives me kind of Sébastien Tellier 2008 France vibes in the joy, but the wackiness of it. And that isn't diminishing the meaning at all, because I fully stand by all of the values that Rigoberta puts through in the song. I think it's an incredible message, 110%. But like you, Tom, I do worry that, people wouldn't really see it in the same way that the Spanish fans are seeing it. I don't know. I'm not a mother. Like, I don't breastfeed a child. So maybe I'm not qualified to have an opinion on that. But, I do make up part of the Eurovision voting population. Would this be one I vote for? I'm not sure.
Well, you are a user of television sets, and you can record it and put it on SloMo, mo. This is a theme that people can identify with. Again, Chanel has a song that some people will call it generic, but I think her performance elevates it above generic. I totally understand that on its own, people might say it's generic, but when you pair it with those moves, I'm sorry. Rigoberta had the breast, but Chanel had the booty. This was a contest of anatomy, and at the end of the day, music paired with booty won the day. Now, I want to quickly shout out to Sinan Sadula, who is in this chat. He is the Sinan Sadula from wiwibloggs. There are some questions in the conversation asking if it's him. It is indeed him. I want to quickly turn to Tanxugueiras. This is because Javier PA says Tanxugueiras were my fave. And of course, Tanxugueiras won the televote. What did you guys think of this? I personally loved it. I thought it was really cool in studio cut. Live, during the semifinal, it dove for me. I felt like I was being screamed at. It was just very loud. And the dancing men in gold with like the teapot dresses, them compared to Chanel, I think Chanel just highlighted how bad their dancing was. They were just kind of spinning randomly. In the final, Tanxugueiras improved, I thought, significantly. The camera cuts were better. And this may be the fault of producers, I don't know. It just didn't come together. It just didn't feel like a stage show. Whereas Chanel, it was a stage show. They can copy and paste, put some LED graphics, we're good to go. So the topic is Tanxugueiras. Tom.
Yeah, first things first, I'll circle back. I do feel for the Spanish public voting for this, because it was Spain's winner. The public vote, the demoscopic vote. Spain voted for Terra to go to Turin. Whether we like it or not, that's the truth. However, I'm with you, William. When I heard the studio cut of Terra, I got very excited. It was one of my favorites, and I could just picture what it could be like. Some really symbolic, spiritual, experience that will all go on with them. But when I saw them on stage in the semi-final, it looked, dare I say, cheap. I was expecting it to be dark. I was expecting it to be moody. The dancers made it. I'm if they're traditional dancers, maybe I apologize, but those two dancers made the girls look cheap. The dancers were in the foreground, and then the three girls were in the back, and they looked like they were just singing along to the dancing. They're the stars, not the dancers. And the whole thing just looked wrong for me. Yes, the camera cuts did improve, absolutely, today in the final compared to the semi-final, but it just still wasn't enough. I think they performed it too much like a concert, and I know it is, but the vibe of the song is so powerful and so big. It was so expensive. I was just expecting, maybe I was expecting too much, but what they brought to me just didn't match up to my expectations.
Now, quickly, Tom, I just want to interject with Felix P. Felix P says Chanel won the demoscopic in semi-1 and came close in the final. Chanel was second in the demoscopic. You are correct that Tanxugueiras won, but Felix P just wants to stress that Chanel is also much loved by the people, and it's not totally one-sided. And that's no shade against you. I just know in these heated discussions, we have to represent all sides of this story. Oliver.
100%.
So I'm going to echo what I said about Rigoberta and say I think this as well is a tad niche. However, that sometimes does work at Eurovision. I mean, when I hear these vocals, I think of white voice, I think of Eastern European kind of Tulia, I think of Goe. And it's very similar, just more of a local flavor for Spain. And I really appreciate that they're bringing that kind of culture. And like you said, Tom, I might as well be sounding a bit ignorant if they are traditional dancers, but I didn't find them necessary. To me, this stage show felt like trying to fill the stage with unnecessary things. I'm going to put it out there, and I know I'm going to get flack for this, but I'm not a massive fan of the song. And it felt like they were dressing up the song with too many things on the stage, is what I'm trying to say. I wanted more of the singers. I didn't want them to be in the back and then weave their way through the dancers to then form this circle. It was just very complicated. They were also, for the most part, all singing the same melody, like very homophonic, not really much harmony between them. Or if there was, it's, you know, quite low in the mix. And again, that might be a traditional thing, but I would have liked to hear something to make the sound a little bit richer, you know, really build up a good foundation and good results will come. Don't start in the middle and try to embellish it with a load of different things that just don't really work. And that's what I think the stage show was doing with the dancers and with kind of the choreography.
Absolutely. I think they just overcomplicated. They threw too much into the fire. Some stillness is powerful, and I think they should have explored that more. There's more stillness, rather than it was just all over the place. The dancers, the singers in the back, there was a few lifts going on, the drummer half naked in the back. It was just too much. Just strip it down, go back to what it is, and folk and basics. And that's what folk is. It's going back to our roots, back to basics. And I think they just threw too much glitter at it and it didn't work.
You know what? I thought they were like, oh, Rigoberta has one big nipple. Well, we're going to have 6 nipples. So they had all the dudes showing their chest. But also, there are a lot of comments coming in on this. So Luis Javier Fernandez says, Tanxugueiras and Rigoberta are our Tusa. Probably you guys see it differently from the outside, but we don't feel part of it. And then someone else, I can't find the comment, they said, why does everyone think that Terra has to have dark staging? That user is suggesting maybe they should have brightened it up a bit. Victor Junca says Chanel was explosive. Now, I want to talk quickly about the jury, just generally. There is a comment here. Let me find this real quick because, wait, hold up. Sorry, juries. Oh yes, this is Artis. Artis says, juries know what is Eurovision. These oldies that voted for Terra don't. So on the point of international juries, I just want to say this. International juries are not there to confirm your domestic opinion. International juries are there because they are stripped of context. They don't know what is a traditional dance. They don't know necessarily who is the biggest star, just like a Eurovision voter viewer at home who doesn't have the context. They look for different things. What pops? And let's just say the jury felt that Chanel popped. So this whole thing about, oh, the jury didn't agree with me, therefore juries are evil. I'm not here for that. And guess what? The juries at Eurovision only have 5 people too, per country. So this is a very similar setup to what the artist, and indeed what Spain's fate at Eurovision will face. All right. We move on. Let's open up the discussion to discuss whatever you would like. I am going to kick this off by saying I felt Chanel in the final was a bit more sluggish than in the semifinal. Something about the final performance I didn't like as much. I don't know what it was. I need to rewatch it because I was tweeting at the same time. But I think she has a strong enough package that on the big Torino stage, they can make this super magical and amazing. I want to see a hologram of her body duplicated 3,000 times. Fast forward, slow-mo, X-ray, hologram, the Ibero Mukuchan triplication quadruple moment. Tom.
I completely agree. And I think, well, I have my answer to that question. What she wore. She wore a white bodysuit and not a black bodysuit.
Sorry. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. I'll save this comment.
You crack on.
I'll save this comment.
So I think the black bodysuit for me made it look a little bit more mysterious, gave a bit more mystique to the performance as well, and to Chanel. I still think all the dancing was completely on point. I think she got tired. I think maybe that's another thing. She got a little bit tired, a little bit breathy near the end. But I mean, she's just destroying the stage. So of course she's going to get a little tired. And she did that routine the other night. So it's going to catch up with her. But I think she popped more with the black bodysuit. And yeah, I think she just got a little bit tired at the end. But I still think she did more than enough to win.
Yeah, I want to emphasize the power of an outfit. I love a good outfit at Eurovision, and I think that it has to be right. We get so many dance costumes. Last year my mind immediately goes to Effendi because I think it was one of the best, kind of with all these huge like black crystals all over it, and that really popped for me. But in the grand scheme of things, we also had who did we have? We had Destiny in silver. We had Albina in silver. We had from Cyprus, I forget her name, El Diablo, Elena Sagrino in silver. And something really unique, which I think Chanel was wearing with a really creative eye, really helped it pop for me anyway. But I kind of want to bring up the difference in the jury vote for Blanca Paloma. I thought that was really interesting, that she did very well with the professional jury, the expert jury. And when we talk about having like a local flavor, maybe not necessarily appealing to an international, music expert, this clearly did. And I think this was very, traditional Spanish sounding. So there's an interesting change there in maybe what people are looking for. Is it vocal technique? We don't always know. Nobody is free of bias at all in these juries, but that was just something really interesting for me to see. Juries respected this while the public less so. Yeah,
the public put her second from last, ahead of just Xeinn and Gonzalo Hermida, and the DEMOSCOPIC poll put Blanca next to last. So there was a huge gap. Speaking of juries, let's see. April Robertson says, juries know what Eurovision is. Are you kidding with me? Well, Marvin Dietmann, one of the jurors, he won the jury vote at Eurovision with Austria in 2018. He did Elena Sagrinu and others. So I would argue that he knows something about Eurovision. And then, April also says, this is a national competition, William. The singer represents the people, not the juries. Now, this is more of a philosophical question of what a national selection should be. I mean, we're not electing the president, are we? Like, this is not who will lead us. This is a song contest. And RTVE has said, we want to do well, and therefore, from our perspective, we need to have both the local insight and the international insight together. They're using this formula to get their winner. So it's not about, necessarily representing the people. I mean, I don't think that's it's part of it in the sense that people vote, but their strategy is beyond that. And again, I totally understand what you're saying, and I think other countries totally agree with you, and they say, we don't want no jury because we want this to be the people's choice. But you've got to try different things, and Spain is trying different things. And the fact that I don't think we've ever had so many comments in one of these videos. People are just asking questions left and right. Passions have been stirred. Tom.
Well, this is it. I mean, what is the end result here? The end result is for a win at Eurovision, not a win at Benidorm 2022. I mean, obviously, so if that's what you want, fine. Tanxugueiras, they won. They won the Spanish vote, but it's what is going to do best in Eurovision, and clearly it's Chanel and the juries. They do know a thing or two. They weren't picked randomly. This random guy from Iceland, this random guy from Germany. No,
or Austria.
Yeah.
On this note, Tom, Trusina makes a good point, which she says, this is to all of us. Stop acting like the juries were international. It was 3 Spanish, 2 international. So in this context, we should call it professional. I've been saying international, but I just mean professional juries. I'm sure you guys mean the same. And one of those professional jurors, did she work with Melanie Garcia? She was like the junior Eurovision coach, and she slays. Oliver.
I want to make a point on this, and I think this speaks to every national final across the board. And I know that it sucks when your favorite doesn't win. I've been there. I think we've all been there. But they don't go away. It's not the end of the world. And, you know, Rigoberta Bandini, especially, and I think Tanxugueiras as well, are going to remain in the Eurovision canon for a long time. You know, one of the two is going to go to OGAE Second Chance contest. Yeah. And you can still support these artists alongside supporting Chanel to go to Eurovision. It doesn't necessarily mean, you know, it's not the end of the world, is what I'm saying. And yeah, all love to all of the artists, but ultimately I think Chanel is the best pick for Spain. One other point that I want to make on this new format as well, introducing these juries and this different method of voting, which is something similar to what we've got at San Remo as well. Spain has tried, you know, just pure televote. Spain has tried purely a jury pick. Spain has tried internal. Spain has tried so many different things over the years. In the past 10 years, or at least in the past decade, they've only had 2 top 10 results. 10th place, Ruth Lorenzo and Pastora Soler. You know, it's always been bottom 5. So changing things up, getting a different perspective on things, actually taking that chance to listen to different sources, you know, gather many things from different places, put them all into your pot. That's not a bad thing. That's a really good method for Spain. Whether it pays off or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I think this is a really strong step forward, and a better step forward that we see other countries take. So when the UK goes internal and then goes last place, you know, we can't call that a step forward. But this is definitely a good thing for Spain, and Benidorm Fest 2023 will be even better, I guarantee.
Baila la la la. Do it for your lover. Do we need to remember the past, okay, just so people can respect the present? This Benidorm Fest was amazing. There were multiple songs. I would have been happy for Rigoberta, for Tanxugueiras, yes, for Blanca Paloma.
Yes.
And that's why, for Rayden. That's why this is such an interesting discussion. People are so angry that their favorite lost, but it's because you had a good competition. And like it's just so special. In the UK, we would never have this discussion. We'd be like, they're all bad. Do you know what I'm saying? So this, 100%. You know? So I just wish people would appreciate the beauty we have seen. Now,
and we haven't had a shout out for Rayden yet. We haven't even had a shout out for Rayden. Rayden was amazing. The camera work was so much better. I love the fact that they zoomed in right at the beginning, because I didn't like the semi-final. It was really far away. It was a really long shot, but they really zoomed in, and I love it when they followed the ensemble all the way around. It felt like a music video in itself. Rayden was fantastic, and 4th place, a great result.
Well, for me, Rayden is Benidorm Fest's next top male model. He is fine. And he was my #1 studio, but the live performance, I don't know, something was missing. I liked it, but something was missing, so he came down for me. But I loved the kind of hand claps on the LED screen behind. I loved his hand clapping. I loved his general vibe, Oliver.
I agree. I love the look. I love the outfit. There's something, this is a very specific reference, but Top of the Pops, Kate Bush doing Running Up That Hill. She's kind of giving this sermon and stood at this podium, and there's a load of preachers around her. When he was on that big pillar at the very start, that's what it reminded me of. Comes down, and there's the wackiness of Cosa Nostra, Greece 2013. And that was a very interesting blend, and I really responded to that. This actually went up for me. This wasn't one that I remembered from the studio cuts. I think that's just because there was a lot of good ones. So, you know, some of them did blend together, but in a good way, if that makes sense. Anyway, really strong anyway, and I liked it. I think he should absolutely go to Eurovision for Spain one day. I hope that Benidorm Fest does become a recurring thing where artists do come back. I'm sure that we'll get a couple of these artists back in next year's selection. Like, the ambition is high, and the competition is strong, so go for it. Why not?
Ooh, 3 interesting comments. First, Vanessa Frey, Rayden's backing vocalist messed him up. We're seeing a lot of this in the comment section, that they're saying that Amanda Britton, Rayden slayed, but his backing vocalist didn't. And then this is a great point from Gruznilda. Gruznilda says the public vote doesn't necessarily represent the Spanish population either. Young people are inevitably going to be overrepresented, and each vote costing 1.5 euros skews the voting towards hardcore fans. And if we know anything, it's that the Eurovision vote is not just hardcore fans, y'all. It's hundreds of millions of people who don't engage with Eurovision until the night or week of. So thank you so much. Muchas gracias, Gruznilda. You slay. Now, we've got to address the lower half of the scoreboard. Those acts that finished at the bottom and what you think about it. Overall, last place of Benidorm Fest 2022, thank God there are all those words so I could keep scrolling, was Gonzalo Hermida. Now, some people have said, oh, he had to show a music video, that's what hurt him. But remember, he won the DEMOSCOPIC poll in his semi-final, so we can't say that was the reason alone. I think that maybe any sympathy vote kind of faded, but also I just think you can't compare a music video. He had a very simple music video. You can't compare that to these great stage shows, so that probably hurt him. But I would have ranked Varry Brava, Xeinn, and Gonzalo Hermida in the bottom 3, and that's how they finished. So in that sense, it worked out. Tom?
Absolutely. I do feel sorry for Gonzalo, because I really think that the live performance would have elevated the song. It is a beautiful ballad. I really do like the song. I'm a soppy guy anyway, so I like these kind of ballads. But at the same time, this is the kind of song that Spain have been sending to Eurovision with Blas Canto, very similar kind of romantic style ballads. And where have they come? They have come in the bottom 5 every single time. I mean, it came 8th because yes, it was the worst song on the night. Xeinn, again, a good performance, very Melfest, very wannabe best. I will have to say, but yeah, the placing was probably accurate. Varry Brava. When I don't look at what I'm watching, I'm enjoying it, especially the chorus. But when I open my eyes and see the guys doing what they're doing on stage, I just switch off and I lose interest. Yeah, I was very conflicted. It probably deserved. Yeah, I completely agree. The bottom 3 was deserved. But I do feel sorry for Gonzalo in particular, because I think he could have elevated a little bit higher had he sung live.
Similar thoughts from me, actually. Gonzalo, I think, yeah, not being able to perform does hurt the performer, and it sucks that they can't do it. We saw this with Irama last year in San Remo, one of the big favourites to win, and they had to use the rehearsal footage, which didn't, turn out the way he wanted. Andrei Zevakin and Pluto, STLL last year, it seems to be a recurring theme that at least one artist ends up isolating, and it sucks that it has to be that way. It's safety, it has to be that way. But yeah, it definitely hurt him. But I completely agree that this wouldn't have been a good choice for Spain. It's a ballad, and while it's a nice ballad, and getting through to the final of Benidorm Fest through a extreme vetting process of all of these songs, that is, not a feat to be sniffed at. I think it's very impressive to get there, but not surprised that it finished so low. Xeinn, you took the words right out of my mouth. It is completely Melfest, and it's not memorable in comparison with the rest of these songs. I don't even remember that song right now. It's one of those ones that just flew me by. As for Varry Brava, kind of into it, not gonna lie. I do kind of like the weirdness of it, quirky, but I completely understand that it's an acquired taste, and I think the visual is so much that it will put people off, even if they do like the song.
Now, it is time to wrap this up with the final question. The question I'm going to ask each of you is, where does Spain fit in your top 4 at the moment? Remembering that Albania has chosen Ronella Hayati with Secret, that Intelligent Music Project from Bulgaria have a song called Intention, and that the other country that has already chosen so far is...
Czech Republic.
Absolutely, with We Are Domi, lights off. And tonight we get Spain. So before you answer, though, to buy you some time, I'm going to read you a comment from Benjamin Vesanovich. He says, I come from Panama and I think that Chanel will be a success. Too bad that the Spanish passion does not let them see that clearly. Interesting. So I want you guys to, have a moment. I will reveal that Spain moves directly to my number 1. Directly to my number 1. I think that Ronella Hayati from Albania has great potential with the revamp, but that's not yet done. So I must judge the original. And at the moment, Chanel straight to the top, because it's got the song, it's got the staging, it's got, the performer, it's got that Eurovision ready party atmosphere. I really do think... Well, no, actually, I don't think that. Never mind. I do think this will do very well, though. I think this is just so caliente and fierce. My number 2 is Albania. My number 3 is Czech Republic. And Bulgaria is my 4. Tom.
Snap. Absolutely. Number 1, Chanel. Goes right to the top. But you're right. For me, it's the only one that is Eurovision ready. You can put her on stage right now in Turin. She can do exactly that. And, in my opinion, come top 10. Oh.
There is top 5. Moldova selected this evening. Thank you, Thibaut Van de Bella. We completely forgot. So we're going to just put this on slow-mo and rewind. My number 4 is Moldova. My number 5 is Bulgaria. Tom.
Well, I'm a big Zdobzhizl fan, but I'll get to that in a second. My number 1 is Chanel, as I said before. Whack it out on stage straight away, top 10. Second is Ronella and Secret. It was my number 1 going into FIC, and I was delighted that it came first. I cannot wait for the revamp. I think she will be amazing, and I think Albania will have a fantastic finish this year. I will go for Zdobzhizl. Third, I love the folk vibe. I love what they do. I cannot wait to see what crazy stuff they've got planned for Turin. Then it's We Are Domi, Czech Republic. I like the song. I still think, as much as I hear it over and over again, it's the same verse and chorus repeated 3 times. For me, they need to change it a little bit just to elevate that final chorus, especially for the juries, because otherwise it will just go in one ear and out the other. And unfortunately, Bulgaria's last. It's just not my vibe. I'm sorry.
Me too. I will say Spain does go to number 1. Don't think it's going to stay there, but I do really like this so far. I really like the presentation that we've seen. I think this is promising. It's a good package. All of the elements work together. Second, I'm going to put Moldova because when I watched it earlier today, it really made me happy.
Wait, did you say second?
Second.
Okay, just checking. I know if this was charged.
Yeah. The rest, I don't care about. I really don't care about. I'm sorry, I know that sounds shady, but I can't get on board with Albania, Czech Republic, or Bulgaria. I think if they have revamps, I could be there, especially for Albania and Czech Republic. But Bulgaria is dead my rival for me. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, on that Bulgaria note, this is a very funny comment from Storyteller's Corner. Me crying in Bulgarian, but shaking booty in Spanish. Ooh, Lord. People are funny. People are funny. Well, look, you guys, that's what we think. What do you think? Be sure and share your comments in the actual comment section on YouTube and on our website, wiwibloggs. Let us know your top 4 or 5 and get ready to vote in our top 5 poll by Porig Muldoon on the wiwibloggs website.
like this video and hit that subscribe bell.
And follow us on socials: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all of the things. Oh, and also shout out to Luna Key, because I think if Luna Key was allowed in the semi-final, which completely understand the disqualification, I think Luna Key could have gone there and killed it. That was just my final thought.
That's a good point, actually. Given what they were able to do on this stage, and given Luna Key's many visions that we've seen on Instagram and elsewhere, that could have been epic.
Yeah, Luna Key was my number one going into it. I still think she would have been usurped by Chanel. I still think she would have been usurped by Chanel. But yeah, so I'm sorry that I didn't get to hear her sing live. But such is life.
All right, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.